Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carter Walker. I love talking about movies, music, comics, and games, as you can see from the backdrop. And I have watched in October all of the Final Destination movies. Not something that I planned on, just something I kind of happened upon when I was scrolling through HBO Max one day. I was like, oh, Final Destination. I haven't seen that. So I checked it out in the waiting room of a hospital and I was like, this is actually pretty good. And I saw all of them were on Max, and for some reason, Max is just stacked with horror movies this year, especially like older ones. So I'm going through all of those, and I finished the whole franchise, and I really wanted to talk about it actually because I think this is a severely underrated horror franchise. You don't really see a lot of people clamoring for more Final Destination movies. I know there's a sixth one in the works, and I would love to see that, especially since now I'm like a new fan of the franchise. I don't know, I really like them. So I wanted to talk about them. I hit the biggest stutter of my life, just barely, so if there's a weird edit, that's why. So as you all know, there are 5 movies in the Final Destination franchise. It goes Final Destination 1, 2, 3. The fourth one, for some reason, is called The Final Destination, but it's also called like Final Destination 4, like Final Destination 3D, Final Destination, the one that sucks balls. That will do too. And then there's Final Destination 5. So all 5 of those movies, we are going to rank them. And just to preface this before I get started on number 5, the top 4 I actually really do enjoy, especially the top 3. But with number 5, we have Final Destination 4, which is the Final Destination, Final Destination 3D, or the Final Destination that, in my opinion, is not very good. And this seems to be the fan favorite for worst Final Destination movie. And so I was like, oh, word, let's watch this movie. And right from the start, it just feels very different. You can just feel the slick, and emphasis on the like fake slick, because this movie is not. Okay, sorry if the camera angle changed. I film on my tripod on my phone. I pressed a little button on my mic there, and it started blinking, and I got really worried, so I just reset my mic. So when I say slick, I mean slick because this movie is not slick. It has the extremely glossed over mid-2000s CGI, where it's just like, oh my gosh, like, we forgot to put a fake head there. Quick, smother it in CGI. Like, whoa, I just discovered Apple effects presets with Adobe Premiere. Like, dude, check this out. We can make rubble fall on people, and like maybe if we do it quick enough, it'll look real. And they're like, yeah, dude, that's gonna save us like $10,000 in probably like 2 hours. Let's do it. And I know I'm generalizing. I'm being very harsh, but that's just how it feels. I honestly don't like to dog on movies because it is a very, very hard process. But this movie just felt very cheaply made, in my opinion. The CGI is not very good at all. It's got very, very bad CGI that has not aged well in the slightest. And the characters here are all really mean stereotypes or caricatures of different things. So you have the racist, the cool security guard, the dude that wants to bone anything with 2 legs. Dude, it just goes on and on. And then you got the protagonist, and he's like, whoa, I just had a vision. And then you have the girlfriend who's like, come down from space, space cadet. I'm like, bro, please die, please. But yeah, I really did not like this movie. In my opinion, it is by far the weakest of the Final Destination franchise, and one of my least favorite horror movies that I've ever seen. The effects, again, are really bad. The acting is not very good. The script is very, very flat. The premonition isn't really that cool because it's ruined by a ton of poor effects, poor green screen, and most of the deaths are bad. They're either played for comedy, which some of them are very comedic in the Final Destination franchise, or they're just very poor effects. The only one that I really liked was Hunt's death. I thought that was pretty good. Pretty much the only thing going for this movie is the cool freaking X-ray credits for both the opening and closing credits. But other than that, I really did not enjoy this movie. I would say, again, this is the only movie on the list that I severely dislike. Coming in at number 4, and again, a big jump in quality right there, is Final Destination 5. This movie was actually pretty fun. I really enjoyed all the characters here. Peter, who's like the Brandon Ruth and Tom Cruise secret love baby. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Brandon Ruth. And I was like, no, it's Tom Cruise. And I was like, okay, I think it's just way too late at night to be watching this movie because they would never be in this movie. And I was right. But I really liked this movie, actually. I thought the characters were fun. There is still some of that poor CGI, but it's covered up by a lot of great practical effects and great practical use. They keep like the slick look, the more updated look of Final Destination, but they use it to a lot better effect here. It just feels like they're more in control of everything that's happening on screen and off screen. It just feels like a more complete movie, a more well thought out more professionally made film, and that's just like base level compliments. But I really liked the characters actually. I thought the main dynamic between Sam and Molly was pretty good. I believe her name is Molly. And then Peter coming in as like a villain actually really worked for me, and I just loved the ending twist that brought it up. Like, I would say this movie is better than Final Destination 4, but not as great as like the first three. And I was like, yeah, this movie's good, this movie's all right. And then like the ending twist happened, I was like, this movie is freaking sick. This movie is awesome, because I really liked the ending twist. And I won't spoil it here, but I thought it very much worked for me. Honestly, I had it spoiled beforehand, but I kind of forgot about it until the very end of the movie when a certain thing happens. I was like, oh yeah, of course. I thought the effects were just way better this time around, and the kills were very inventive. I loved the wrench kill and the gymnastics kill. Those were brutal. And the massage kill, dude, I can't do that because I hate needles. I hate any needles, and I had to get acupuncture in my arm when I injured it like 4 or 5 years ago. Man, am I really that old? Yeah, wow. And I get so queasy, so sick around needles. And very big tangent I just went on, but overall, this movie was actually fairly good. I really enjoyed it. A big step up from quality, a big step up from quality from the fourth film. I'm pretty bummed they haven't made a sixth film because I feel like there's a lot more cool things you could do in Final Destination. But heading into the top three, and these are movies that I would say I actually really enjoyed. Like, upon more rewatches, I would say these would probably move into like horror movies that I watch at least once a year. Like, I would move these into horror movies that I would put on for Halloween for the month of October every year, because in the month of October I try and watch exclusively horror movies. So I've seen a ton of horror movies this month, and these first three happen to be in it, and I'm like, man, I really want to watch these again. They're very enjoyable. So coming in at number three might be a little controversial. I'm going to say the original Final Destination. Now, on paper, this might be the best made film, the most well-rounded, like subjectively, but objectively, I think I just mixed those two up, objective and subjective. I apologize. On paper, this is the best made movie, but I prefer the other two. There, that's better since I forgot the meaning for subjective and objective. But I honestly really enjoyed Devon Sawa's performance here. He plays a great character in Alex. I do think Carter is a little bit too much of a dick in this movie, and the kills really aren't as fun and creative. However, I really loved Billy's kill, that's Sean William Scott's character, and the teacher's kill. It was very fun to watch for the first time, but I think the thriller aspect, well, it is very unique. It makes it a fun watch. I think that I prefer the more like campy, like they know immediately from the get-go, like, oh, death is hunting us, we're screwed, like we have to figure out ways to beat it, like we're gonna find clues to beat it. I prefer that type of Final Destination movie. So while I by no means think this is a bad movie, I just think that right now I prefer other two in front of it, because in my opinion they might be a little more fun on rewatch since it just gets right into the carnage, which is what I love. However, again, this is a very fun movie and I enjoyed most of the kills. Oh yeah, the ending is great, just out of the blue, boom, and it ends. I really enjoyed it, and some of the kills are very surprising in this movie, so I liked it. Honestly, I really like this movie. Coming in at number two, again, another controversial placement, I have Final Destination 2. This is the one with the log truck, and I think far and away the log truck incident, along with Flight 180. Flight 180 is horrifying, but the log truck like accident, it's such a popular thing, you know, like you go online, anytime someone sees a log truck, they do not drive behind it because of this movie. This movie still impacts people who have never seen it. Like, I haven't seen it until this year, but I have never driven behind a log truck, because when I was younger, like 15, I saw a video on YouTube, a clip from Final Destination 2 of the cop getting a log right through his head, and that's just haunted me for years. Like, I've never been able to drive behind a log truck for that exact reason. It's just too scary for me, so I just couldn't do it. And so right there, I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm done. And so nope, cut that. So right there, it has a fun moment to start out with. It gets right into the carnage again. And it is very surprising. Like, it starts out, sorry, I just nailed my desk. It starts out right with that accident with her friends. And I do think that the wow. The characters in this movie are actually quite fun. I do enjoy the dynamic between the main girl and the cop. I am totally spacing on names right now. This is like the third or fourth video I've shot tonight, so I do apologize about that. But I do think that the dynamic between the characters is pretty fun. I enjoyed the range of people. I enjoyed the new kind of twist they brought in with like oh, if you bring new life in, death will like leave you alone. And I thought that was very, very interesting. The kills were crazy this time around. Wow, like a lot of them were insane, especially Kat with the pipe through her head, the kid that gets blown up because he got saved from the newsman, and then the barbed wire was crazy. The elevator, I mean, you can count the amount of like iconic kills on your hand here, like the glass smashing. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a ton of fun. Honestly, this movie and my number one are very neck and neck. I would give both of them like 4 stars, like 3.5, 4 stars. Honestly, they're very, very rewatchable, very fun, and I had a great time with Final Destination 2. By no means do I think that it's not a lesser movie because it's number two. On any day, my number one and number two could switch, but for right now, my number one is Final Destination 3. To me, this was the Final Destination movie that understood what it was right from the get go. Everything was just so fun and interesting. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, as always, is like a delight in the role. She brings so much energy to it. I actually liked seeing her dynamic with Kevin. I enjoyed how Kevin starts off as this like total douchebag, just taking upskirt photos, and then he's like, "I want to propose to my girlfriend." I was like, "Dog, you took a picture of a girl in an upskirt. Like, what are you doing?" And he evolves over time, like their relationship evolves over the course of the film, and I really enjoyed that. And I think that this movie just knows right what it is from the get go. The roller coaster incident might not be my favorite incident, but the kills are all so fun and unique. Like the weightlifting kill was nuts. The McKinley sign kill where he's like shaking after, that one gets me. That one always gets me. The nail gun kill. You can just go on and on. I mean, the tanning beds. How can I forget the tanning beds? You can literally go on and on and on about the amount of just great kills in this movie. I think it is very, very fun. The only thing that would drag it down for me would be the like ending fake out and the real ending. I think they should have ended right after the premonition and not showed like, oh, it's a premonition. I think that's just kind of a cop out, kind of lame. But I really enjoyed this movie, and honestly, I had such a great time with this franchise. If you can think of any movies like the Final Destination franchise that are just very fun, very over the top, please let me know down in the comments below. And how would you rank the Final Destination movies? Am I wrong here? I'm a completely new fan to the franchise. I just watched all 5 of them this month. In fact, I just finished number 5 today. So, I mean, if I'm talking crazy, if you think you have a different opinion that's more correct, let me know down in the comments below. Probably won't change my mind, but I mean, it'd be fun to talk about it. I love talking movies. So again, just let me know what you think of the Final Destination movies down in the comments below. Let me know what movies I should continue to watch after this. As always, I'm Carter Walker. Have a great rest of your day.